Good morning, all. Thank you for joining us today. We have a really great session planned for you all. So, we have Vivek Sridhar from Microsoft today. So, he'll be giving a talk on fundamentals on Azure. So, this is going to be the part two. We already had a session last month, that was the part one. So, today is going to be the next level of our previous session. So, I hope all of you are really excited and yeah, so great to have you all. And we have recently launched Azure developer community. I hope like most of you will be already aware of that. And so this session is being part of that particular Azure developer community. And right now we are in 101 cities, and just 2 days back we crossed 2000 members altogether in Azure developer community. So it's a really like exciting moment for all of us, because just in less than a month we have crossed 2000 members. So thank you all for joining the community, and yeah, together we'll be achieving more milestones, hopefully. So before getting started with Vivek's session, I would like to show you a few things that might help you. All right, so I hope you're able to see my screen. So as I mentioned, we have recently launched Azure Developer Community. So this is the website link. This is azdev.confab.com. So we have started this community with the initiative of making learning accessible to all. So right now we are in 101 cities, and as you can see, like we have already closed like 2000 people. So yeah. So guys, if you are not part of this community, so we would request you to be part of your nearest Azure developer community. So how to do that? Once you go to this website, you would find this join communities, where you can search by your city name. So suppose if you are from Jaipur, then you can search for Jaipur, and you can do from here. Or else you can just click on the map and uh, go to your respective community and join that. So once you join the community, you will be getting regular updates on upcoming events happening nearby to you. So it's a really great opportunity for you to be part of these communities. So we also have our partner communities who are helping us spread the word about this initiative. So we are thankful to our partnering communities. So yeah, that's all about Azure developer community. Next, I have Azure Dev Challenge. I think most of you already know about it. So it's a developer challenge where we are helping people to upskill on Azure. We have three different categories, namely Python on Azure, Node.js on Azure, and .NET on Azure. So the link is challenge.confort.com. We'll be sharing the link with you soon in the comment box, and we'll be flashing on the screen. So to know more about the event, you can go to the website directly. So here we have set a path for you, like how to participate in this challenge and get upskilled. So you just need to follow these four basic steps. Like you first need to register. Once you register, you'll be getting a confirmation email with all the three different learning collection links, which are Python, Node.js, and .NET. So you don't need to complete all the learn collections, but you can complete any one of these learn collections. So under of each of the learn collections, you'll have different learn modules that you need to complete. So on successful completion of any one of the learn collections, you need to submit your profile link, which is Microsoft profile learn link, that you need to submit here by going to the submission form. And then on receiving it successfully, we'll be sharing Azure credits to you. Also to mention, we already got like our top 150 professional participants to whom we have sent swags. But yes, We also have a few more swags for you. So for the same, we have our swag partners, Edureka, Bizlab, and TechScalable, who are providing various coupons for their learning courses on Azure. So this was about Azure Dev Challenge. And also, if you are not sure how to participate, then you can go to watch this video. So this is a self-explanatory video that will help you to get started with Azure Dev Challenge. Next I have is Azure Developer Stories. I think a lot of you would have already gone through this and would have participated last year. So this is not the first time we are doing. So this is second time we are doing Azure Developer Stories. So the first version was on 2020, and this is the second version, I would say. So here we are encouraging developers to share their experience on Azure, like what they have built, how they have used Azure services in their various projects in a form of blog or a video content. So we are encouraging developers to not just simply create their project and leave it. So we want your experiences and knowledge that you have gained to come out and to share with the community so that it can help others as well. So how to participate in this? So here also we have this particular step for you. So from step 4 to 7 is the path for Azure Developer Stories, and step 1 to 3 is for Azure Dev Challenge. So if I give you the a simple step how to get started with this. So suppose if you're participating in Azure Dev Challenge, on successful completion, you'll be getting Azure credit worth $100. So with that Azure credit, you can explore various services on Azure, and after exploring them, you can build your own project that you can deploy on Azure. And how about writing a blog on that, or maybe creating a video? Because nowadays we have seen like people are not having much time to write blog. So creating a video is a very nice way to do that. So once you write a blog or create a video, you can submit it on the website. So here also we have 3 different categories, namely Python on Azure, Node.js on Azure, and .NET on Azure. Also, in case if you are not sure how to get started with and what your blog should cover, so here are some samples that we have for you that you can explore, and you'll get an idea like what all things your blog should cover. And yes, that is all. But the most exciting part, obviously, people are looking for is okay, what will I get after participating in this contest? So we have Azure exam passes assured for everyone on successful completion of the blog. Also, you'll get a chance to win Surface Pro X laptop. So the top 5 winners will be getting Surface Pro X laptops, and the next 25 blog submissions will be getting a swag pack. And the top, the first 50 valid blog submissions will be getting cool T-shirt. So if you're one of the top first submitters, you'll be getting a cool T-shirt as well. So if you haven't started doing it, I would request you to go and write a blog on what you have created or done with Azure and submit it for Azure Developer Stories. Also, the deadline for submitting your blog is 3rd of April. Okay, I know I have already taken a lot of time for you. So this is the last thing I would like to mention. So this is about Cloud Community Days. So this is one of the largest online cloud community conference in India. So we did Cloud Community Days last year as well, and this is the second time we are doing it. So the event is on 24th and 25th of March. So yes, it's a 2-day conference, and this time we are theming it around serverless and DevOps. So we are going to have lots of exciting sessions on serverless and DevOps. So if you haven't registered for the conference, then go ahead and register for the conference. So the conference is free of cost. And yes, you can see we have CFPs open as well. So in case you are interested to give a talk on serverless or DevOps, then go ahead and submit your CFPs. And soon we'll be updating all our speakers and agenda on the website, so you can understand what all sessions we are going to cover in this conference. Obviously, we all love hands-on workshops. So yes, we have workshops planned for this conference as well. So we have workshops on serverless and DevOps. So for DevOps, we have Murugan from EY, and we are also getting community partners for the conference who will help us spread a word about the conference. In case you have a community and you are interested to participate with us, you can reach out to us over reaches@confirm.com and let us know. I think that's all. And before getting started, thank you, all of you, for joining us today. And we hope that you get upskilled and you learn a lot from today's session. So now I'll be bringing on stage Vivek from Microsoft. Hi Vivek,
Hey Rohit, can
how are
you
you doing?
see me? I'm doing good, but I'm. Can you see me? I'm.
Yes, yes, Vivek. We can see you, we can hear you
You
properly.
can hear me as well. Okay,
Yes. All right. So
great.
thank you so much, Vivek, for joining us again for yet another community session with us. And we have so many participants who have joined us today. So there are so many live viewers who have joined across India. And yes, we are really excited for your session. So, so Vivek, could you give a introduction about yourself so that people who did not uh, attend this session last time, so that they get an overview. What is it about?
Yeah. So basically, we this session is. I mean, the both the sessions were focused on Azure fundamentals for developers. So we were actually looking at uh, how developers can use Azure and what are those services, and a couple of services demos were done in the last session. And this session is basically focused on uh, focused on serverless DevOps, and obviously we are spending some time in terms of the career, and also some of the Azure certification questions which we had last time. And I wanted to spend some time there and help people understand how to prepare for certification and what certifications they can take. And there were some career related questions as well last time, so it's I just want to make sure I do answer them in terms of career as well. Before I deep dive, Rohit, can you see my slides?
Yes,
Or
I'll put that on screen.
oh, okay. Oh, I
Sure,
was just
excellent.
looking through it because I was thinking that slides are going through.
I'm just waiting for you to let me know when I need to do that.
Yeah.
All right, it's there. So all right, so I'll drop so that you can
Yeah.
start the session. And yes, like people are waiting, they're like they're really excited for the session. So I won't take
Sure.
much of their time.
No problem. I think that's a great intro for the previous session and for this session as well. As I told, I'm going to focus on three different things in this session. One is on serverless, the other is DevOps, and obviously on the certification and career related questions as well. So before I deep dive into these sessions, people who don't know me, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Vivek, and I was a software developer at IBM. Did a lot of coding in terms of Java, Python, PHP. I don't know. I think even Perl, and I had a passion for DevOps, so I liked DevOps a lot, and which is also one of my favorite topics today. And I did work in enterprise and startup from a DevOps perspective, and then I had my own startup and was part of DigitalOcean as a developer advocate. And today at Microsoft India, I take care of the developer conversations for the community. That's me. Um, Even before I deep dive into my session on serverless, I want to go back 15 years and talk to you all about how it was when I started my career, right? So it all started with on-prem, and the most important thing here was, everything we did. We installed applications on-prem. We used to go into a room and install all these softwares, and every time we need to restart and reinstall these packages, we used to ghost the system. It used to be called as ghosting, and ghost the system and reinstall this software. Or whenever there was a patch, we used to go back and used to patch these systems. So it was more from a server and a storage perspective. And when digitalization happened, the whole thing changes. The infrastructure, that is the virtual boxes, or that is the machines, where part of the virtual machines, right, virtual boxes, it became easily accessible. Through security, I was able to access these boxes over an internet, and obviously have my applications deployed on these virtual boxes. But then there's still the question of, how do I patch my software, how do I use my OS, and how do we upgrade OSs, the operating system, and how do we use dev tools and everything. It was all through pass layer. And obviously, even at the past layer, we had a couple of questions to be answered. And how now world is moving towards serverless technology, where you're only focusing on how to deploy and how to build an app, and rest is taken care by the service provider, or rest is taken care by the serverless technology which you are using at the backend. So uh, I'll also give you you know kind of questions we had while we were building these applications, right? So it's basically, how do I, even before cloud, it was more from, how do I manage the network connections, how do I access these servers, physical servers, and basically, what is the size I should be buying. It was not easy, right? Because we used to go through the procurement, and it used to take some time to procure these machines, the required machines for the specific set of tasks which we were supposed to close. And then there is, patching these applications which were there in the cloud, right? I mean, it's in the on-prem system. So and then obviously digitalization happened, number of questions were answered. And but still I had a couple of problems, right? We all had problems in terms of deploying code, in terms of patching my servers, in terms of scaling apps. How do I increase server utilization? How do I get, how many servers I need to have? All these questions were still there at the infrastructure level, infrastructure as a service, when that happened, when the digital business came into picture. um, but that's not where it stopped, and we moved on to past layers, where most of these questions which were there were answered, and it was only focused on cloud. And it was focused on, how do I scale my app, the size, right size for my servers, how do I, which server I need to purchase, and which, how do I utilize the server, right? These were some of the questions which were involved when past layer came into picture. Okay. So that's something transformed into something called as serverless, where you're only focused on building your architecting your app. That means you're right, focused on your business logic, building your business logic, right? And rest of the things like the scalability, the manageability, reliability, performance, everything is taken care by the cloud provider. You are just focused on building the application and handing over that specific function, or I'll introduce you to the function later, but specific code to the service provider. And once you hand over that specific code to the service provider, it is just seamlessly working in the cloud, and those APIs are consumed, and you are paying only for the compute which you are utilizing in the serverless world. So I just want to take some time introducing what is serverless. Serverless is a technology, and it is, it's not like when somebody says serverless, it's not like there is no servers at the back end. There are servers at the back end. It's just that it is abstracting the developer. It is abstracting the servers from the developer. Developer is just focused on writing the code, and rest of the things, like I said, the scalability, management of the servers, and the availability of the servers, the performance of your code, everything is taken care by the service provider. And it is obviously a event driven activity. Everything in serverless is called as functions, and there is a reason why they call it as functions, because they want to see how these even in your object oriented programming, when you write a piece of code which does a specific set of job, it's called a function, and it won't run independently. It is basically running only when somebody is triggering it. So that's this similar logic. If you apply in this technology, you're actually writing a piece of code, and that piece of code is rightly available. And whenever there is a trigger happening, whenever there is a set of input coming into these to call these functions, it is performing some action. So, and it is only using compute only when there is a trigger happening. And obviously it reduces the cost for the application, for the businesses, and to manage these applications as well. The cost is obviously reduced because you are only using the compute when it is only necessary to use, which is amazing. Amazing saver for various purposes. As a DevOps engineer, I know how difficult it is to manage these resources, to make it cost effective, and to optimize your resources into such a way that it is utilized, it's fully utilized. And serverless technologies gives you a freedom for you to use resources and compute in the right format. um, Going to the benefits of serverless, where how it is benefiting you. It's just basically three things which I see. One is being focused, right? As a application developer, as a business, you're only focusing on the problem, and you're on your business logic, and you're writing this business logic and going forward, and you're not really worried about how this technology is, how this is managed at the back end. So all the heavy lifting is taken care by the service provider, like the manageability, as I told you, scaling your app, or even security, the performance, and all these things is taken care by the business, by the service provider, cloud service provider. And efficiency, obviously, so it's very pretty efficient in terms of your development is very easy, and since you're writing your code is in specific to solving a specific problem, it's very easy to design and code and push it to the service provider to run it, or push it into the serverless technology. It's pretty easy, and it is very stable, and it is obviously cost effective, as I told you. And from a flexibility point of view as well, if you see that not everybody in your team have same knowledge on different programming languages, or your microservices can run on different programming languages. And so set of developers who are really interested, and couple of products can be designed only in Java. They can use Java, they can use Python, Go as a separate things, right? So the flexibility has been provided by the functions, and you can really make use of this flexibility, and definitely code and deploy it in the cloud. So that's one of the thing, and obviously it's a amazing fit for building microservice architecture. So it's easier to build something, if you want to build microservice tools and applications and APIs, this is the natural fit for building applications. So coming to the most important part of serverless, it's like serverless is a technology, and to achieve that you need a functions as a service programming model. You need a way to do it, and how you're going to design it, and how you're going to build that design. And it has to provide you various things like locally testing, and also deployment, how do you deploy to the cloud, and how you're going to design it as well. So so fast is nothing but that programming model. The function is nothing but that programming model, and there is a single, it's just a single responsibility. So whenever you're designing it as a single responsibility. That means it's an event driven, so you're actually focusing on one specific problem in that piece of code, and you're writing that code, which is having input, and then there is a results. And short, obviously it's kind of short-lived. It's not going to keep running. It is basically a function is nothing but it starts with a trigger, and it does its job and closes it. So that's the idea behind planning your functions. And then definitely there is no state. It doesn't save states, but as if in Azure we also provide something called as durable functions, which is it saves the state, and then tries and calls different functions and solving those functions and then coming back. That's a little bit complicated. I'll show you some of the examples, but understand that it is called durable functions, which is very interesting when you build some complex problems. And obviously, as I told you, it's event driven, so it has to be event driven, and it has to be replicable, and you can scale that. If it is an event driven, you can scale the number of replications of that and access it, so that as the request comes in, the scaling of these applications happen. So what does Azure Function do? Is Azure Function is nothing but that programming model, and it provides you a way to define the function, how you can trigger a function, how you can connect your data to different set of databases or different set of third-party services. And it obviously helps you in development, because it provides an amazing extension with Visual Studio Code, where you can build locally, verify these functions locally, deploy it to the cloud, and then also monitor it, right? And then there is obviously hosting flexibility, which has been provided by the Azure functions, because basically you can host it in the cloud in different flexible plans, so that either you can host it as a dedicated server with dedicated services, app services, or you can dedicate run it as a scalable models. So you can go through those plans whenever you have time, but these are the three things that provides you. And as I told you, right, it's functions is about focusing on code and not on infrastructure management or on auto scaling, auto scaling these workloads, or putting your head on how to manage the resources. So you are not really doing that. It's a plumbing job. It's not your it's not your terrain as well. Cloud service provider will take care of all these things, and you're only focusing on the code on the code which is supposed to be your business logic and the most strongest thing about a developer or a business, right? and this is how Azure Functions actually provides you, with from a developer efficiency wise. It provides you a trigger. I'll talk about it. I'll show you how to design different triggers. I'll show you some of the examples, from a triggering perspective. And then there is proxies. That it means you can connect to third party APIs and perform various activities. And it has a DevOps inbuilt, and there is binding. When I say binding, it means that you're um, you're basically connecting to the data, which is input and output. What happens when your function is triggered, and how you're connecting to a set of data, and what happens to the after function is running, what will happen to the data. So everything is obviously run around the data. All the application runs around the data. And there is local debugging and monitoring, efficiency, which is there, and monitoring feature is available with Azure Functions, so you can make use of those as well. And there is uh, the way it works is there's trigger happening. And when trigger happens, there is input output binding happening here. And then you can see the output going into the required third party environment. So just to give you understanding again, right, let me go back how triggers and binding actually combines. There's a trigger, then trigger is happening, and once trigger happens, there is a connectability with input binding, which is nothing but it is connecting to a data source. And then there is a output binding, which is happening, which is to connect to the third party or to the same Azure services, which is available to run various other activities. So this is how it works. So there's a trigger, your code which will run, it will connect to the database which is there, which might be a Cosmos DB. And then there is an output, which might be logic apps or different other services which we have. Okay. So given that, we are these are the couple of functionalities which you can use, which is it provides you with multiple languages support. That is, there is Java, there is Python support, there is C hash JavaScripting support, which is available for these services. And then there is durable function support, which is there, and which I told you, right, it is a stateful functions. So if you're building a uh, complex functions, and if you want to see how to solve these problems, right, it is kind of saving the state of the function and then talking to each other. And then there is hosting flexibility, which I did talk about. And then there is VS Code and other things, which is already there for the developers to use, right? And I just don't want to spend more time in the scenarios. After I will spend time here once I've done the demo, so that you can really understand how to design these scenarios. So let me go back and show you a couple of uh, demos. So I'm in my Visual Studio, already have Azure Functions extension, which is already installed. And you can actually see, you know, I have function core tools also installed on my laptop already. So you can actually figure out, you can search online and see how exactly you can design, you can come up with the how you can install basically the core tools, function core tools, and see how you can solve that problem. And here I have Azure Functions extension, and it is already there. I've already logged into my account, and which is already there. And you can see a couple of things here. One is to create a local project here, and then there is create function within that local project, and the other is to deploy the function to the cloud. And then there is a refresh, which is obviously to refresh whenever there is a changes which is happening. So let me go back here and show you how to create a function. So when I click on create a project, so you need to create a project even before you do a deployment of a function. So you need to create a project. So I'm just going back and creating a project in my
Vivek, are you there? Hello, Vivek, are you able to hear me? Okay, guys, I think there is some technical or network problem from Vivek's side, so we'll wait for some time for him to join back. Also, guys, to just to update you, after the session, we also have a quiz. Um, that will be on fundamentals on Azure itself, and the top 10 winners will be getting Azure certification vouchers. So let's wait for Vivek to join back. We'll try to reach out to him. All right, so Vivek is back.
something happened.
Yeah, actually, we lost you in between. I think you did not realize. It happens actually. You can't see your screen, right? So you don't realize.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. I'm sharing my screen. I hope
Yeah,
people were here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, your screen is live, Vivek.
My screen is live.
Yes,
Am I live?
yes, yes.
Sorry, something really happened. It always happens, right? It's Murphy's Law. Can you hear me, Rohit? Am I live? My screen is
Yes,
visible.
yes, yes, yes. You're live, Vivek. Your screen is live. You're also live.
I'm talking about live, not alive. Sorry if you're hearing that as alive.
Okay.
Yeah. People are able to see my screen, so then I can, just I'm thinking that people were, um,
Yes,
I lost them
yes.
when I talked about choosing
Maybe
a
15,
product.
15 or 10, 20 seconds back, I would say.
Okay, so anyways, I have, I'm choosing a, project. I need to create a project when, uh, when I'm getting started with functions. So I need to create a project first. So I just click on that create project button, and then you are able to get access to the next set step. After creating a project, you need to choose which programming language you are actually running. So it's basically Python, and I'm choosing the which version of Python, and then different set of triggers. So when you can see my different set of triggers, right, you can uh, you know there are a couple of triggers which are available for you to use. I did talk about triggers. We usually think about triggers as HTTP triggers, but you can have timer triggers, you can have blob storage triggers, which is very specific to storage. If something comes into that storage, you can actually see this trigger. And then you can there is Cosmos DB triggers, there is event ring, event grid, hubs, queues, buzz. It's there is so many triggers which you can use. So this is the flexibility. So you have a function, and you are adding something into the you're triggering when some action is happening, right? So that is how this whole function works. And basically, let me select HTTP trigger, and let us go back and type a name for this function. So I'll say function Vivek, and enter. And I'm setting up who can access it. Obviously you can say it can be an admin, only admin accessible to this specific function, or a function to function, only this function can access. I'm saying anonymous so that anybody can access. Add to workspace, and you are actually creating a function. So it is going to create a function on your local box, and the function will be available soon here. um, Oops, something happened to my ah, there's something wrong with my internet system today. Just hold on. Okay, so let me go back and open my function, local project function. Okay, now function has been created. This is a simple function. Where So this is my terminal. Let me ls. Here is my function. This is where I created the function. If you remember, um, you know, if you just remember, the project which I get started, right? I went into this project and created a new project, and I just made sure that this project is created under a folder called Serverless, and I was able to create a Python function. And when I create different functions, right, different set of files gets created based on the language which I'm using. So if you see this, right, there is a set of specific to language, right? And the requirements.txt is Python specific, and it is being used by Python. So like that, if I create a function for a different language like Java, there will be a completely different set of things. So Now I have a function, and I have it on my laptop. It's not on cloud. If you remember, I just went ahead and created a project, created the function, but it is all here. So now what I'll be doing is just hosting this code in the uh, you know in the in the local environment. Run this in the local environment and see how it works. It's basically function start. The start, this is the one core tools I was talking about. There is Azure Function Core Tools. You need to install that with the extension of Azure Functions onto VS Code, and based on and also the language extensions which you are using. Even all these things has to be installed to play around. So this is the link where the function is available for us to use. Let me go back to my browser and type this out. So this trigger, HTTP trigger, it is run through an HTTP trigger, and function is running. And you can see, and I can give name is equal to Vivek, and you can actually see that uh, hello Vivek, this HTTP trigger function is executed successfully, right? So you can see that the function is executing successfully, and I can go back here, and we will try and open that code uh, in my VS Code. That is in it, and I can see a couple of things open. Yeah. So this is a function which is there. It's simple piece of code which I told you. It does some couple of things. So it's simple. You can write this code, and then we can just edit this off. This is, and say hello Vivek. Um, thanks, thank developers. Thank you developers for joining. All right, and we make this code available now. And the beauty is, you are coding and directly it's get published. Just I save this, and you can see this. My function is already running here, and if I just go back to my browser and just do a refresh of this, you can see hello Vivek, thank you for developers joining, right? So this is a simple way to design, and it's easier. And this is the flexibility I'm talking about when I say you have a development environment, and you are really developing. So you're not doing anything, you're just doing as the way you are, where you are supposed to code, and you can see it's running as a function. So this is the programming model which Azure Functions provide you, and you are actually programming it, and nothing special you have done. You just install some of these extensions and code tools and other things, and you are just trying to run these functions, right? And now what I'll do is I'm going to push this specific piece of code to the cloud. So when I say deploy functions app to the cloud, there is a button here. There is simple button here. I'm not sure whether it's visible. I'm trying to make sure it is visible. It's here, and these are where you can really perform some of the actions. So I'm just going to deploy this to the cloud by creating a new function app there. And I create a new function app and give it a name. I don't want to give the same name, so we can say Azure Dev app, right? So when I say it is available, I can say in which runtime. I can even pick the preview one, which is 3.9, which is available. And then I can pick the location where I want the specific functions to run, and I'm selecting that, and then it's just getting deployed to my cloud. So when I say it is just getting deployed to my cloud, it means it's to my Azure account. My Azure extension is also available. I've already connected to it, so it's easier to deploy apps from your Visual Studio. So I'm just doing that. It's happening. It will take some time. So while that happens, let me go back and show you while it is happening. So here is Azure. I've logged into my Azure portal, and you can already see some of the apps going to come here. If I type in resource group, you can see that this being deployed, and resource group is already available. I'm hoping resource is also deployed. So resource is also here. So is deployed is complete? No, there is only still one step to complete. You can see the steps here, by the way. You can actually see a couple of things. One is uh, you know 4 out of 5 has been completed. It is also creating an insight. That means monitoring will be available for this application. So let's wait for that, but it is still running, so that is why I don't have access to the link, that is the API link, which we can access and see how exactly it works. So let's wait for 2 more minutes for this to get completed, given the challenges I'm having with the internet. um, let's wait for some time. It's taking some time to close on this. um, let's give it a moment. So basically, what we have done now is we've gone ahead and created a project, serverless project. Under that serverless project, we just deployed a Python code, and we made some changes to that code, and we deployed it locally. And from a local development, we were able to see it is working fine. And we wanted to make sure that this local function is available for everyone to use. So we have just posted this to the cloud, and in cloud it is available now. And once it is in cloud, I can access that through a different URL, in a cloud URL, and which can be used by other functions or used into your different code to call this trigger through a HTTP trigger. So once it takes care of deploying, it's pretty easier to use. And if I change the code now and redeploy, the changes directly go into the local. And if I click on refresh or repush the code to the cloud, I can do that as well. I have no idea why this is taking so much time, because of my internet issues. I'm just waiting for this to happen. It's usually faster. Is my code available here? It's okay. No, it is it to give me the link. As I told you at the start, it's going to be a tough demos, because all these things happening in the live, and this has to go. I don't know why it is not, it's taking some time to uh, create the application inside for it, or my internet is so slow that it is still happening. Let's give it a minute. Let's see. In the interest of time, let's wait for this to happen. I'm just waiting to show you how exactly you can access it through the cloud. Let this happen, and we'll come back here after discussing some of the use cases of the functions. And when the functions is ready for use, we will see how exactly it runs. I'm sorry for the internet issues. I'm facing that from yesterday myself. Cool. Let us go back and see some of the scenarios where you can use functions. I just wanted to talk about some of these scenarios, and some of the places where you can actually use these functions. One is definitely the online order. We all do online orders, and this is how it can be triggered, right? If you have a request which is coming in, and when the request goes into the queue and it gets triggered, and this is a simple HTTP trigger which we built, and it gets stored in a database and it does next steps, right? The processing. So this is where functions can be used, and there is one different orders. It can be triggered and stored in processed and stored in database. And I know we all go out with friends, and we spend some good time, and we go to a party and somebody pays for it, and he requests us to pay the money back with obviously the money is divided between all of us, right? So how do we do that? Through a app, there is a function which he calls, and that actually stores the information of who has to pay how much. And then there is a transfer trigger, one more function is called, and then notification is sent out to all the three friends or four friends with whom you had gone out. So basically these set of scenarios, it helps you think from how to design this function, how to design it using functions. And you can clearly see there are different functions for active different processing. And first one is a HTTP trigger, the second one is a Cosmos DB trigger. So there is a two different triggers happening. Whenever there is a update to the Cosmos DB, then only there is a trigger happening. So similarly, manufacturing industry as well, the IoT hub and other things which is there, right? Another, there's so many data is been sent, and after that data is sent, there is a trigger happening to process it, and then request for repairing the machines on a specific to something, right? So there is a trigger happening on a specific call. And the same thing with conversational bot. And anyways, the slides will be available online, and just take a look at it. This is where you can use the blob storage from from reading the patient's data, and how to store it in the database and access it, process that data. In fact, this is where also functions are used. Streaming process, how you can stream it and create a dashboards using event hubs and other things. So again, trigger is happening through event hub triggers and other things. And obviously various other activities where you can use these functions to make sure that you're sending mails to right set of people, sending mails to not repeatedly sending mails to your customers and other things. So and also SaaS applications where you can create a webhooks and other things. So even before I go into DevOps and other things, let us go back to whether that thing. Oh, it's not completing at all. So let me see what's uh no idea why this is still running. Shall we redo it? Create new app and see if it is we can do a new app. Yes, 001. Central US. So let me see if this the other one which I have triggered it is going to work or not. Um, It is at 3. It's running for me. Does it create here? Yes, it does. Okay, I don't know what's wrong with this one. I deployed the same app again, and it looks like the one which got deployed was the one which I just created. I have no idea why this failed. Probably some issues with my internet or something. So, anyways, this has happened, and we can see. Uh, okay, now I have fun. Where's so this has been created. Um, refresh. Mhm. Where is this link? I'm trying to find that link. There's some issue with my VS Code as well. Okay, view output. Okay, this is where my link is. I'm just copying that link, adding it here. So this is my the function which I just deployed to the cloud, and this is the link to the function. Um, and you know, if I just type name is Vivek, the code which we changed, it's already here. So very simple. I just deployed it in the cloud, and there are a couple of things which you can do. I just don't want to spend more time here because we have a lot to cover. So there is a couple of what we did was create project, create function, and did some bit of coding. And locally we tested it, and we pushed that code to the into the cloud, and then we are using it in cloud now. And you can actually deploy something else as well if you want to make changes to this. Now if you just make changes to this code and say only hello Vivek and just leave it at there, the locally it would have already saved and it would already run. But I will just go back and say go back and push this function to this. It will already show you the function which is there in the cloud. I select that and say redeploy this, and it goes to that again. So, anyways, this is how the continuation of the process from making changes to your code, and you're just pushing that code back to the cloud, and it keeps changing there. You can try this out on your own with the stuff. So before I deep dive into DevOps and other things, so I just want to take some questions with respect to serverless, so that I can keep the DevOps discussion as a separate thing, and then move on to the certifications and career related discussions. Rohit, if you are there, if you can share some of the questions, would be great.
Yes, Vivek. There is one question uh, from Rajendra. Let me share on screen.
I'm really sorry for some issues with with my internet today. So there's a couple of things which is gone wrong there. So we had to wait and we had to do repeated things there. Okay. Rather than Python preview, if you take stable version, it would work. Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's a good suggestion. Probably yes. But I wanted to try. I mean, I did try Python preview as well. Not just today, right? I mean, like 2 days back as well. Three, 1 week back as well when I was playing around with functions. So it was working, and it did work for me. Now also, there is some issue, some problem network issue or something. So
So there is one more question, Vivek.
So when we say Azure function is stateless, if you want to load a large ML model in Python, will it need to be loaded every time it is triggered? Not necessarily. When I say stateless, it means the state of the function while running. It's not going to be it's not always live, and there is something called as asynchronous functions. So you need to use asynchronous functions while you do these kind of activities, because you don't want to keep running these functions while things are happening, right? I mean, obviously you want to run these functions but not wait for the other request to go back to uh, the person who has really triggered this kind of a function, right? So it's basically you're triggering ML model, loading of ML model or something, and then you have closed the request, and the ML model, loading is happening. It is running at the asynchronous way. It's not running in a synchronous way.
Okay, so I said there are few lot other questions. I'm sure all of them.
So proxies are nothing but third-party integrations. So if you want to integrate your function into the different triggers, or you are writing a webhook, or you have a webhook and other things, so that is where you can use that. If you want to understand about durable functions, there are amazing content. If you go to the Azure Docs, and also there is a serverless Microsoft modules to understand about Azure durables. You can definitely make use of that. And if you have a model database dependency, can we create a function? Yes, you can. Obviously, it is from the database perspective. As I told you, it is all asynchronous functions which we are talking about.
Okay.
It's the same way you can. I see some of the questions. By the way, it's not just coming here. Okay, I'm just
There are
reading.
some.
I'm trying to solve. I mean, I'm trying to trying to answer those questions as well. I see that there is a question on uh, you know how do we debug functions in Azure? It's the same way, right? It's basically how I debugged right now. It didn't work, and we tried to do it, and we created a new function out of it. I mean, that's a joke. By the way, don't take it seriously. The way you can debug that is obviously there are application insights, and there are various other things which you can do. And obviously you have to add your logging technologies and your metric monitoring or metrics technology to the functions which is already there. And you can actually see that in my I can even show you that. Just give me a minute, I'll share my screen. um, I can actually show you um, my so by the way, this functions got deployed, I believe. Only the code which is there. Okay, let me go back here and I'll show you in my Azure account. I can actually see a couple of things, right? You can see insights. So if you go here into insights was deployed for me. So you can see already there is a couple of things which is it's already showing. So this is how you can debug. You can add alerts. You can build a metrics to that, right? So this is how you can do it, by the way.
So, like Okay, so there is one question from Venice. So he's asking to share some practical examples of durable functions.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. So you go back to the MS Microsoft modules and other things, and definitely. So it's basically dependency, right? Wherever you have a dependency model enabled, right? So for example, one function state has to be saved, and it is waiting for other function to run and give the information back to this function, and this function provides the information back to the service and trigger process. So basically there is a chain of functions which you need to run. So in this situation you can actually design using durable functions. So I mean I'm not able to give you a product example. Maybe I'm not able to get that product example for you, but this is the main usage, right? Wherever you have a situation where you have to, the function has to wait for other functions to provide an information and then take that information forward.
So Vivek, I think there is one repetitive question from two persons. So I'll just take that.
Yep. So you can actually design that while creating the function. I mean, I did show you that there are three types of people who can access this function, and you can actually select that, and you can design that specifically. And as I told you, right, durable function is one way of doing that. And do read about it. There is amazing tutorials in Microsoft Learn, which I'm going to show you as a demo as well. I'll we can actually see how to use of Learn, and I think it has a proper steps on how to do that. So that's something which you can go through.
All right. So Vivek, I think since there are a lot of questions, so maybe you can take them offline.
Yes. Let's go back to DevOps. There is one more
So
huge topic which we need want to discuss. So let's go back to
Vivek, could you?
DevOps, and I'll go back to our question. Yeah, you had anything, Rohit?
I'm yet to see your screen.
Oh no, I'm not yet sharing it. I'll just
Yes, it's
can I
there.
see my screen?
Yes, it's there. Yeah.
Let me enable this. Okay, so so now we are moving out of serverless and directly deep diving into Azure DevOps, uh, my favorite topic, and I would love to answer a lot of questions around this. And please reach out to me if you are interested to talk a lot about DevOps with me. So either on my Twitter or on LinkedIn, anywhere you can just ping me. I'm happy to talk to you. Um, I just I want to talk about how you can how we did delivery of code at IBM, like around 8 to 10 years back, and how exactly it used to help us out. And it's basically the building of the code. Developer used to code for 3 weeks, and he used to build that code, and then deployment used to take so much of time because it was all on physical servers. And then feedback of that code used to we are going to go back to the developer only after 2 to 3 weeks. And then the release timeline itself was around 1 year almost. I mean, I'm talking about 6 months as a patch release, and 1 year for a simple product release. So if you see this process, right, there is a lot of flawed, right? This developer actually coding for 3 weeks, and he has so many features he has completed, and he's already gone back to writing new piece of code. And then there is a lot of time to give him a feedback of that code. And if you see, if he has done something on the week one, and if he has pushed the code in the week one, and the code is actually going for next almost a month, 1.5 months, to give him a feedback of that piece of code he has written. So it's a long process for developer to even remember. I mean, I usually don't remember the code which we have written. So, and we usually forget, right? And why did we take this decision, why it was written like this, and what is the reason behind pushing this specific piece of code. If you're not commenting right, you're stuck there, right? So, this was something which really took us time, and this is how things used to happen in the way back, like 8 to 10 years back. And then I moved into a more agile development, cloud environment. But still, it was an enterprise. It's basically controlled system, right? It's we even though we were building daily, deployment of the pre-production used to take at least 2 days, because not every day we can go and deploy to pre-production, because pre-production is available for the customers, and so it has to be controlled for the some of the customers, and it was not available for all the customers. And code feedback used to get almost 2 days, because pre-production is where most of the feedback used to come from the customer's perspective. But obviously the testing team and other team used to give them the feedback on various things. But when it is from the customer, specifically from the customer, it's a different thing, right? And usually production releases used to take some time, which is 3 months time. So here also, even though most of the DevOps practices were met, like having Ansible to build your infrastructure, having testing team running it and running automations and giving the feedback, or running, and build is happening daily, where code feedback for the developer is happening every day. But still there is some gap in terms of delivering the quality code to the customer, right? Because there is a delay in terms of, from a developer perspective, there is to be a real big delay, right? And moving from there to very agile startup, very big, startup with so many developers committing every day. Build is happening when every commit happens, and then there is deployment is taking place 10 times a day to pre-production, and you're getting feedback. The moment developer pushes the code, within an hour he has the feedback of the code from the pre-production itself, after running a lot of automations on it. So, and obviously release to production used to happen sometimes 10 times a day, and sometimes even more than that, because that's the agility of being in a startup, right? And that's how it actually works, right? And code is coming in and just going into production, and there is some controls over there, and apart from those controls, it is directly going into the production. And this is what I call real DevOps, right? There is so much developer is doing, everything is automated, the mindset of the people is set, and the culture is set to build a really amazing product, bring in the features fast to the customer, and get the feedback of the features really fast, and drive your applications very make sure that your applications are driving in a very agile way, and you are really getting the feedback from the customers. And going back and talking about my experience, right? My experience in this production, as a as a DevOps engineer, and in Blackbird, there was so many things used to happen. There is When I joined them, there was developers going and accessing production, pushing code in production, and product team coming out there and telling developers to push code to production, and they're literally standing behind the developer and say, hey, push this piece of code, push this piece of the feature into the production. And obviously, there is no process in code release. There was only hardly any other environment, right? There is only production environment to solve the problem. And we had no monitoring system, no logging management, downtimes every 30 minutes. And this was a situation before we brought in DevOps into the organization. And it's a huge mindset, right? It's, if you see, most of these are not really tools problem. It is a very different, right? And it's not just tools problem, it is people problem as well, it's cultural problem as well. So if you see, you know there are so many things tools can solve here, but also a culture also should be able to solve these problems. And if you have a moment, such, these kind of moments in your organization, please share that moment, and with the hug ops, and definitely tweet, tagging us, so we would know your moments as well. And the way to change this is, I'm not sure you have seen, this 12 Angry Men movie, which is about how to change the perspective of the people, and how to have a conversation so that people start thinking in the right direction. So basically, this movie gives you that perspective. And you have to do this when you're building a DevOps culture within an organization. When you're building it ground up, everything changes. You need to change the people mindset. You need to change people mindset, culture within the organization. It's very difficult to change a culture of 60 people, and which is already been built, and you're going there and you're trying to change their mindset. So this is very important from a DevOps perspective, and this is how we solved it. I just say that, we changed the culture. We added tools where it was necessary to add tools. We changed the culture where, things were supposed to be controlled. We controlled it, and make sure that some of these things which I discussed, is solved via tools and cultural problems. Now, why I'm talking about all these things is because I just want to give a perspective on what is DevOps to people, right? So the most important thing about DevOps is, it's not just about tools. It's about people. It's about process. It's about, building the product which is available to the customer, and you drive value to the customer. And that means you're driving a good quality product to the customer. So that's exactly DevOps does. Okay, it's about people, it's about process, and it's about product. So I just wanted to give you a, you know give an intro to the DevOps. And it's just, try to remember that it's not just tools, it's about people, culture, everything. Okay. And there are three aspects when I talk about DevOps technologies, right? And there are three aspects to it, and one is continuous integration, continuous deployment and delivery, for which I'm going to show you a demo. And then there is continuous learning and monitoring, which is available out there. We will take a look at it. And when I talk about continuous integration, it's about 2 to 3 developers, or 5 developers, or 15 developers are developing together and pushing the code together, and on a single piece of uh, code base. And when that happens, how exactly the code gets integrated, and if there are any issues already with the code integration with the other developers code, it is already, we are able to catch that issues at the time when the developer is actually pushing the code. So this is very important, right? Because catching it later is a difficult thing. Catching it earlier is obviously solving your problem. And the difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment is how this code is processing from a developer environment to the production environment. If it is deployment, it is continuous process. There is nobody stopping it, or there is nobody actually checking it. It's basically runs in an automation. It keeps running in one environment to another environment. The code just got pushed, and it goes from one environment to another environment to another environment, and then it just stays in the production. And delivery is about controlled push, right? You go till pre-production, but to go to the production, I need to have a permission. I need someone to go back and check whether pre-production has been passed, all the information, all the checkboxes has been passed, and I am ready to go to production. So this is the two different concept, and we'll see a demo of that. And in there is something called as infrastructure as service. I did call out a few minutes back that, Ansible is there, and how you can use Ansible's, um, very important to understand as well, right? So, it's not about just pushing your code to production, right? And it's also about learning what's happening with your code. It's also about understanding and monitoring your code. There are various other ways to handle these issues, not just not just pushing this code, but what's happening in that code, where it can go wrong in futuristic as well. There are so many things you can actually learn out of DevOps, right? Through these insights which you're going to get in various tools, where you are seeing how these applications are behaving, the code is behaving, and how it can behave in future. Everything you can actually get an insight. So that is something is very very interesting topic in DevOps, right? And I just want to introduce some of the Azure DevOps concepts, which is there: Azure board, Azure pipeline, repos, test plan, artifacts. There are many things in DevOps, right? As I told you, for the process and other things, Azure board gives you the process. Azure pipeline gives you how you're going to deliver the code, CI, CD, continuous delivery, continuous deployments, infrastructure as a code, everything. Repo is nothing but keeping your GitHub repos in collaboration together. Test plan is to build your test plan, and artifacts is to store your artifacts. When I say artifacts, it's nothing but your build packages, packaging it. Anything can be an artifact. Even container images can be your artifact, right? So that is an artifact. So I don't want to go deep dive and explain you all these things. You can figure that out with azure.com/devops. And this is Azure board, where you can see, you can actually plan how exactly this has to happen. And pipeline is nothing but code progressions, and repo is nothing but storing the your code, and test plan is to plan your test, and artifacts is to store your artifacts. As I told you, it's nothing but you're storing your code, right? And before I go into anything, right, I just want to give you a demo. Let me go back to my code. So this is Azure DevOps dashboard. I've already logged in. I have an account. I'm there, and you can see release 15 is ready, and it's all deployed today morning, and I tested it out. And a couple of things, the deployments which is there, and I'll just show you how exactly this looks. I have my GitHub repo which is attached to this, and any changes I make in GitHub repo, I've set it up in such a way that any changes I make to the GitHub repo, it goes through the code goes through a progression. So code is going to developer environment. When I say developer environment, it is an environment where it is in the cloud. You are actually deployed in a different ways, and it can be a container, it can be a Kubernetes, it can be a various things. I just don't want to get into the what kind of an environment it is, but it is a dev environment. And then there is QA, there is automated test, there is performance testing which is happening. The code goes into all these different environments, and it goes through a process, and then it goes into pre-production environment and then production environment. Okay, so now we will see how I can do this through through a real code example, right? So now it has been set, and you can see here release 15 is the number where it is run, it has run latest. Okay, just keep that in mind, because when the moment I change the code and push the code, it becomes release 16. And the moment it goes through this progression, it will start showing you how this progression is happening. And we will go back and just open my code. Let's close this off, the functions, and let's open the code. um, okay, we are here in my code. So what I'm supposed to do, so this is a code, this is just a project which has been designed in Python, and I'll not spend much time. This is, so I'm going to show you how continuous delivery and continuous deployment work. So this is obviously CD versus CD at Azure Dev India, right? So I'm just showing you the progress. I did make changes to my code. So when the moment I make changes to my code, um, what I should be doing is in the right location. Yes. So what I'll be doing is to obviously push this code to GitHub, and the best way to push it is just say git status. I know there is a change in my code, and now I'll go and see add git add, and it gets added, and then again I'll run git status. This is the best way to do it as well. Git status, I have this commit uh, message saying code for Azure Dev India. All right, and I do that, and then there is git status again, and we need to push it to the origin master. Git push origin master, and then you're pushing the code to the repo, right? So now we have pushed the code to repo. What happens here? Ta-da. Why it's not right? Did I push the code to the repo? Yes. Did I set anything? Result is set by. Just will give me a minute. I have no idea why this is not working. It should have. Yeah, it's gone. There. Oops. It didn't refresh here. I don't know why, but release 16 is happening. So you can see here release 16 is going on, and if, you know, the code I have pushed and it's already available out there, and there is dev environment, and it is waiting, and then the moment I push the code is getting here. So even before there's, you know, code integrations happen, because, you know, the other developers can also push the code to this specific repo, and when the integrations happen, it will obviously the CI would give out the results in the logs format, and if there is a failure of the build or something. So now, since I don't have any other developer coding here, I'm just pushing the code directly to the dev environment and trying to deploy the code here. Now this, it gets deployed to the dev environment, and now it has been successful, and then it goes into QA environment and other environments, you know, where it can perform activities. So every other environment is actually waiting for, you know, specific information, and once it happens, it will get started. So let's wait for these two environments also to get completed and go into the pre-production. This is what is called as pipelining, designing the pipelining as well, because, and also value stream mapping. You know, you need to understand the different terminologies which is there in the um, in the production, right? You know, there is value stream mapping, there is different set of you know, progressions you can make, combinations, different combinations you can build, because as of now I have built in such a way that it goes through all these three steps and then goes to pre-production, but it is not the case, because QA environment, if it passes, it is waiting for the performance testing also to complete and then go into the pre-production. It's just a, we are uh, you know, we are waiting for this to complete, and once it is complete, it gets started. And you can see. So this is an example which for running the running the continuous delivery. Um, it's going to wait for my permission at some point in time, and unless and I permit, it won't run. So this is this is directly going into pre-production. This is exactly the scenario of my HCL days, right? Where there is, things are happening and it comes here and it says approve. Yeah, only if I approve this, it goes into production. So that's how this has been designed, and I have to go and approve this. And if it is good to go, then I approved, and I say approve, and it goes into approval, and I can see it's going on. So you can see here also there is an approval process, because I'm just putting more controls over pushing the code. So I did twice approvals, so that nobody pushes the code to production without the permission of various people. So it's been approved and it is going now. So this is how you can actually go back and design your CI/CD strategies, and how to design your code, how to push your code. And obviously you can edit it. When I say edit it, it means you can go back here and go back here and say edit, and you'll be able to see the programming I have done here. And I did add the deployment going into production. I controlled it, and I can go back here and say disable this. I don't want you to put any control, it just goes into production. Just go here, and I did add some control over here as well. Before going into production, have a control. I can say disable that as well, and no control, and its code is pushed. We can say no control, it's just going into the code. The code is pushed and it goes directly into the production. So that's how DevOps should be. In an ideal world, DevOps should run in this fashion. And we can see a demo of that. Just if you give me. So we'll go back here and say city was city, and save this. I have made a change, and today, by the way, status, okay, git add and git commit -m testing, and then git status, go back, git status again. We need to push it to version master, and let's hope. Wow, there is some issue. How can it be? That's not pushed. Did I miss something? It did change. It still shows git test. I don't know why. It should show me git commit message test. Okay, now I'm committed. Git status, git push, origin master. No idea why the other one was not showing up. There was a change in that. Wow. So it has started 17th one. It has started to go. There is a git changes which happen. It goes into developer environment, and then there is no stopping here. There is no approval process. Nothing has been set up here, so you can easily go back and see you can start seeing these things going into the production. Okay, just wait for some time while it happens. So right now it is doing performance testing, and then it will progress into other environments. So if you see that, right, last time, QA environment started first, and this time performance testing is starting first, because the way you have set up the pipelines, you can set it up the way you want to run it, and you can plan your execution of these pipelines. And you can see this various things happening, and obviously there are many things you can set it up here, variables, other things which is there. You can see there is artifact, there's test plan and other things, and then board, which is for your workable items. We can add everything here, and um, then uh, you can see this. So anyways, now it is happening. uh, Pre-production, see, last time, after pre-production there was an approval, and then there was an approval at the production environment, and I'm going to close on all the things. Okay, so let me, so there was no approval here, so it directly going into production now. So this is continuous deployment. The code is going directly into the production. So that's what we wanted to demo here. And Rohit, if you are there, we can take some questions while this happens, and a few questions, so that we can talk about the certification as well, and have answer some of the questions related to certification, and the career wise. So this is production. So we just went in there. Let me stop this and take some questions.
Vivek, we are not able to see your screen.
So I just stopped it because
Okay, okay, okay.
I wanted to take questions.
Um, okay, so there are some questions. Let's take one by one. Okay, so there was one question we asked by Muhammad last time, so we couldn't answer.
Hmm.
If you're able to see the question on screen, Vivek.
Yeah. Which app service plan do you suggest for function, application, hosting, Python app, dynamic or standard? So it depends upon your requirement. So either it could be if it is a really scaling application, there are so many people, so many transaction happening on your application. Obviously I would suggest the dynamic one. But again, it really depends upon your plan, in fact.
Vivek, I think there are some suggestions coming for you regarding a Git commit.
Yeah, I think I missed something there while committing. I know that maybe message or hyphen or something.
Okay.
That's fine. That's part of development, and you keep doing these mistakes, and you figure it out later. And as a person who don't do it daily, it's fine to have. It's fine to do such mistakes. Yeah. So
So,
thanks for the suggestions, by the way, for people whoever has suggested that. And the good part is we were able to figure that out. That's good. See, everything is connected through GitHub, right? I mean, if you even edit, you take on prem and other things, right? Even if there is SSH plan, right? If you have a SSH connection to
Vivek,
your,
there is a lag in your voice.
what is it? Can you hear me
Now,
now?
yeah, now it's better. Yes, yes.
So, I mean, like how to connect with on-premise VMs, it's the way you connect, the way you are connecting to the on-premises from your home or anywhere. So it's basically the SSH. I think you'll be connecting to it through a SSH connection. So, it's basically you connect through SSH and run those commands there.
Okay. So this question I think you answered during a demo. Still, if you would like to answer.
It's the same way like how I did that demo. So it's basically pre-production is always a controlled environment. In a real world scenario, it is a controlled environment because you sometimes you give access to your developers and sorry, your customers. In fact, so they would be using these environments. So you will control it in most of the cases, but in a real DevOps scenario, real DevOps means going full on and push the code, it goes to the production. So that's the real DevOps strategy.
Okay. So next question.
So how it will deploy database related changes at the same time? How it, okay, you are talking about database changes. See, database changes is also deployed in the same way. It's you're connecting to the if it is something you're making a change to your database settings and other things, and you're deploying something, there is a pipeline for it as well. So you're making changes, and it could be you are connecting through various other things, right? And pushing it out. It's not always a strategy where you're connecting with GitHub repo, right? It's just a example which I showed. You can connect to your local repo, connect to your different storage. All those things are available.
So there are two parts to this question. So this is the first one, like how to configure these pipelines.
So it's the same way I showed you how you can actually, go and edit those things, right? I removed some of the enable, disable, the approval process and all those things, right? So it's the same way, the way you're supposed to do. That's just go and edit those things and probably create based on your requirement in terms of connecting to which data source you want to trigger it from. So I have used GitHub repo as a trigger for all these active for all these pipelines, but you can have different sources as well.
I think this would be one interesting question.
No, I've never done that because see, ultimately, if you think from a from cloud world, right? Everything is moving towards cloud, and I know if you're thinking on-prem development, I would have done it. No, I haven't done, but I can give you that even if there is no internet connection, there's nothing you have, there has to be a traditional methodology where you are deploying these things. Let me give you an example. We were using VMware ESX servers, right? ESX servers in-house private cloud, and it is not a cloud outside where people can access it. So you can obviously go back and install Jenkins and other things and try and do it, or also use and Azure DevOps in a backend with Azure directory service and other things as a secure connection. Use your own in Azure directory service directory, which is there where you can use it for authentication and other things, and you can obviously go back and deploy it in your on-prems. but that is given might not be a full strategy I can give you, because I have not done it before. I have to go back and read about it and give you the right set of strategy to use it. But you can definitely do it. I mean, there is no stopping. You know, you can obviously go and figure that out.
So Vivek, there is one repetitive question, like to perform rollback.
Yeah, so see, the rollback is through your GitHub, right? And then you have to repo your GitHub head and other things. I'm not sure how well you know about GitHub. There is in GitHub you can, whatever you push the code. If you want to remove that code, you just remove that code and redeploy the code, which was already there in the previous one. So you have to go back and redeploy through the GitHub.
So I think this
You
would
have to
be the
remove the code on the GitHub repo, because that is the code which is actually problematic, which is there in the production, or else push a patch to your code.
so Vivek, I think this would be the last question from our audience.
So see, it's blue green deployment is from a strategy perspective. It's not, it's not something which can be done through a traditional way. It's a cloud native deployments, and it is basically you can use Kubernetes and other things to do that. um, and this is a strategy, in fact, deployment strategy. And you want certain part of your deployments to be part of available as a version 1 and version 2 and all those things, right? There are canary deployments and other different strategies. And this is an example which I showed was a traditional way of doing DevOps. But if you go into the today's world with Kubernetes and containers and other things, you can easily set this up. And it is available at Azure Azure DevOps pipeline. And you can definitely go back and do this with blue black deployment or blue green deployments, which are all there. Yes, Azure
So
DevOps is free. I'm not paying anything. I don't have any access as well. For me, I'm just pushing this code as of now in front of you, right? It's free, but you need to have an infrastructure where you're going to push this out. And if you have an infrastructure, you can just go back and push this code wherever you want to. The set of account Azure DevOps account is free. Okay, can we just so let me spend some time in on the, because there were a lot of questions last time on the certification part, and there were so many questions on some of the career part, what certification I need to do and what are those certification I need to take. Let me show an example of how you can do it and where you can learn about it. So let me share the screen.
also, meanwhile, Vivek, there was one question from Arnav Chaudhary. He's asking like how to like add Azure credit to his Azure account. So we just shared one link, which is the which will help you to redeem your Azure credit to your Azure account. So Arnav, you can check that out.
Yeah, so basically the best way and the best way to get started with Microsoft certifications, especially with Azure certification, is just go to docs.microsoft.com or Microsoft Learn page. When you go to Microsoft Learn page, you can actually see various tabs here, with certification as one, with role based as one. You
Vivek,
can
are
see.
you sharing a screen?
Yeah, I'm already sharing my screen.
I can't see that.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. Today my internet is having such a big problem. Now?
Yes, now it's there. So if you could
Okay.
able to show it again to the people.
Yeah, I'm in that website. So best way, as I told you, is to go into Microsoft Learn page. So if you go and search for Microsoft Learn, and you'll be able to see this specific page, and you can see there are a couple of things which is available here. One is obviously, you know, products which is available out there, and roles which you can search for. So if you are interested in becoming an AI engineer, there are a couple of things which you can select here. If you're talking about becoming a data scientist, it's available here. Developer here, DevOps engineers here. So you can easily search based on different set of roles. And there is something called as Learn TV as well. So when we say Learn TV, it is basically it's kind of a TV, and it has continuous sessions which is happening. And you can, whenever you are free, you just come here and see if there are any set of things which is there, and you can learn. So this is the Learn TV, and now playing. So it's live as of now, and there will be lot more things happening today as well. So it's a continuous process. It's kind of a TV, right? And it's amazing. And then there is a certification where you can browse for the certification, browse for courses and other things which is there. So if you click on browse certification, right, and there is, you will go into the certification space, and you just need to select right set of things, right? So one is Azure, um, and if you want to become a developer, or if you want to become a DevOps engineer, you can, and then click on I'm looking for role-based certification and certification, and you get to the right filter. So you need to just filter by clicking into the right set of things. Just go into certification, select the product, select the role which you want to do, and then select the certification, and you get these information, right? So this is the exam for DevOps. I'm just giving you an example how you can become a DevOps engineer and how you can be a DevOps certified from a Azure perspective. And just click on this. You can find the learning path here. This is very important because if you want to take up this exam, you go into this learning path. For all the other certification as well, there is a learning path available. You can go into this learning path. As I told you, you can see there is so many things which is already there: deployment, automated deployments, deployment and build. So it's basically a kind of a learning path where once you finish this learning path, you are well versed in Azure DevOps, and you are ready for taking up the exam. So this is very important, and you need to understand what certifications you need to complete before you go into these certifications, because there are different levels of it. And here is what it shows you: prerequisites. Either you take up the Azure developer certification or the administrator certification before you try for DevOps certification. So it is not necessary that you go back and take up the certification exam and get the certified yourself. Instead, what I am talking about here is there is learning path which is already available for you. Go and understand these concepts through this learning path. This is free, and this is this specific learning paths have sandboxes where it creates a sandbox for you, and you actually go and you can play around in these sandboxes. It's all free. You don't need to pay anything. It's available out there. The content is there. You are learning about all this content. So you need to understand either one you have to complete to become a DevOps solution engineer. And most important thing about this is here, if you see here, there is a download certification skill outline. Okay, when I talk about download certification skill outline, just click on that. You get what are those things you need to complete, what are the things you need to know, and how the questions will be. And if you're planning for a certification, you need to understand 5 to 10% of the questions will be on these set of questions, these set of technologies, or these set of features which is there. And there is SRE features, which is 10%, and there is you know 10 to 15% is more from security and compliance perspective, and then source control management questions are 10 to 15%. So the questions will come in a mix of these things and mix of these topics, and you need to understand each and every topic and understand where you need to put more and more time, and where you are not having the skill set, and where you have to spend time to solve this set of questions. And this is where, if you see here, it is 25% of the questions. Sometimes you might get 25 complete 25% of the questions, and rest is divided across the other set of set of technology. So it's in a way you need to understand this. So for every every uh, path, for example, now I go into DevOps developer associate exam. There is similarly you need to do, you know uh, developer associate has a one more um, uh, exam which is available out there. It also has certain set of learning path. Again, you can see there is serverless management, app surveys, virtual machines, and most of the things we covered in last session and this session as well. And you can see there is a certification outline as well here, as for this developer associate exam. And if you click on this, you can actually see there is a different set of way set of things you need to learn. In terms of 25 to 30% of the questions will be part of these set of services, and you can see different set of services as well. So I just want to give you an overview of how you can use these things. Just go to Microsoft Docs, and just go into um, certification, browse certification, and you will be able to understand what needs to be done. If you want to learn some stuff, just go into these roles and say I want to be a DevOps engineer, or I am DevOps engineer, I want to learn various instructions or various modules. So you can go here and say deploy application to Azure DevOps, and click on that, and you will see amazing set of exercises and to perform these activities, and how you can deploy applications into cloud. So all available to you. And just before I close this, I just want to make sure I also give you a heads up as well. uh, we have a newsletter. You can actually sign up for this newsletter, and in fact, not just sign up for the newsletter, you can also contribute to this newsletter by writing blogs and by sharing us the videos or the stories which you are learning on Azure. And we will be able to publish it. Just reach out to me, just share it with me, and I'll be able to nominate. If it is really good, I'll be able to nominate this your content to the newsletter, which goes to many developers out there. And Ignite Tour is happening. You can go into this link, and it's the most awaited Azure event which is out there. So just go into this Ignite and hear from the experts, especially this Scott Hanselman, who's going to do lot more things with respect to developers and other things. So here I can take some questions now. If there are any questions, Rohit, the certifications and other things.
Yes, Vivek. So a lot of people are asking about the promo code, Azure promo code. So I think they can get it if they participate in Azure Developer Stories.
Yes, for credit wise, credit is something which we are giving in Azure Developer Challenge.
Dev challenge.
And if you want to take up Azure certification exam and other things, if try and see if you can blog through Azure Developer Stories. And I mean, the main reason why we have launched these two things is it's basically a journey, right? Learning is a journey, and one, you are learning through challenges, and then you have the credits where you can go and build something new. And when you build that, you're not just learning for yourself, you're actually sharing that with people. So share it with people using the platform which we have provided. And when you share that with people, obviously you are an expert in that, and we want you to become an expert, and also, get that expertise official, right? Get your expertization as an official person, right? So that is where the certification process come into picture. So yes.
So Vivek, like Arnab is asking this question, so I think you can answer it.
So there will be only one exam, of course, but it will be an advanced exam, not a fundamental exam. So it's something um, worth trying, because the exam is worth $165, right? So it's a good way to get yourself certified as well.
Right. So I don't see any specific question regarding certification, Vivek. So people are mostly asking about the Azure promo code. So
Yeah, so that is anyways is part of our quiz now, which you're going to run, is part of our dev stories, which is already there. Yes, I see that somebody asking, can we use this for DP203? Yes, you can use it. Hope that is not fundamental. If it is anything related to fundamental, it won't work.
right. So guys, if there are any more questions, please post in the comment box so that Vivek can answer either now or maybe after the session he can go offline and answer to them. And
Sure. I mean, just reach out to me if you have any questions, either on LinkedIn or Twitter. Obviously, I saw one question. We have a lot of open source tools. Why we go for Azure DevOps? See the flexibility, and the flexibility of using Azure DevOps is, you get to connect these Azure DevOps to the Azure Cloud. Azure Cloud, that means 140 plus services which we have, right? So that is where the flexibility comes in, and integrations of these things comes in, and also the flexibility of integrating with other products. It's not same product which we are able to work with. There are different set of products which is available out there. You can definitely connect to those products as well. So this is great, and I think we can go back and run this quiz. And if there are any more questions, just reach out to me on LinkedIn or on Twitter. I'll be able to happy to help you all.
sure. So I think we are good then, Vivek. I'll just
Yeah.
a few things
So I'm
and
I'm I'm going backstage and probably some answer some of the questions. It's thank you very much, and I think it was an amazing talk
thank
with
you
all the
Vivek for joining.
challenges I've been facing. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much, though. Okay, bye bye, bye, Rohit.
All right, guys. So now we'll be starting with the quiz. So before that, I will just wrap up on few things. Just showing the initiatives that we are running right now. So one is the Azure developer community that I have shown you in the morning. So if you haven't joined your nearest community, so go to this website link azdev.confo.com and you can find your nearest community to join. Once you join, you will be getting regular updates on regular meetups or community meetups happening near to you. Then next we have is Azure Dev Challenge. So people who are looking for Azure credits, so you can go and participate in Azure Dev Challenge. On successful completion of any one of the Learn collections, you'll be getting Azure credit worth $100. With that, you can explore Azure services. So the link will be sharing in comment box, and we have already done that. So you can go and check out this website for more details. Next is we have Azure Developer Stories. So the certifications that Vivek was mentioning right now, so you can get them from here. So what you need to do is, if you have built any project or if you are planning to make a project on Azure, do it and write a blog on it, like how you have used Azure services, and write a explanatory story on that. So your blog should cover code samples, scenarios where you have used Azure services, and yes, you should be good. So once you're done, you can submit it on the website by clicking here on the website. So for more details, you can find it out, like the rules and like what all your blog should cover. Also, in case you are not sure like how you should get started with Azure Developer Stories, so you can explore some samples we have for you. So you can go through the samples and you'll get an idea of what uh, these stories may look like and what are the things you need to cover in your blog. At last, I would like to mention about Cloud Community Days. So it's happening on 24th and 25th of March. This time we are planning it on themes serverless and DevOps. So we are going to have industry experts and leaders from various organizations and communities who will be giving talks and workshop on various technologies using serverless and DevOps. So we also have workshops planned. On 24th, we have workshop on Azure Serverless, and on 25th, we have workshop on DevOps by Murugan from EY. So if you haven't registered for the conference, go ahead and register for it. The registration is free. Yes, so we look forward to your participation in our upcoming events. And yes, if you have any doubts or any queries, please reach out to us. So now we'll be starting with our quiz. So let me just give it a while. We're just going to start with the quiz. I'll be flashing this the link to quiz on the screen. I hope you are able to see the link. So this is the link. So here it is. So you just need to fill out this form to give your details. And once you do that, you will be able to participate in the quiz. So the questions are very generic and related to Azure fundamentals, mostly from today's session. And the top scorers will be given Azure certification vouchers. So we'll end this quiz by 1:20, I think. So right now it's 1:12 p.m. So we'll close at 1:20 p.m. Let's see how people are participating in it. All right, guys. To become one of the top scorer, you need to answer most of the correct uh, questions, and then you will be also judged upon the time taken to complete your quiz. Okay. I think people are taking time to think of the answer and then they will be submitting. Also, guys, there is Microsoft Ignite uh, happening on 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of March. So this is one of the most awaited conference, I would say, for Azure fans. So if you haven't joined that, so you can do that. We'll be sharing the links soon. All right, so we have just shared the link to Microsoft Ignite. So people like participate, you first need to fill out this form and then you'll be able to see these questions on your screen to answer. Let's see if people have started submitting. Okay, so we have already 21 people participated. On top, we have Anirban Saha with 9 correct answers. Then Sudhi and then Babu V. All right. So we'll be closing quiz at 1:20 p.m. So people, those who have not completed or submitted the quiz, please do it soon. All right, we have 22 participants. So people, the top 10 winners will be getting Azure certification voucher worth $165. So this is a great opportunity for you to write the exam for Azure certification. We have 3 more minutes left for the quiz. We have 27 people. All right, so we have 31 people. So if you have uh, made a project on Azure, or if you're planning to make a project on Azure, you can write a story on that by making a blog or creating a video, and you can submit it for Azure Developer Stories. So our top 5 winners for Azure Developer Stories will be getting Microsoft Surface Pro X laptops, followed by next top 20 winners will be getting Swap Pack. Also, the first valid 50 submissions will be getting T-shirt. Also, we have Azure certification vouchers for all our participants who will be submitting their blog for Azure Developer Stories. The submission ends on 3rd of April. All right, we have, I think, just 1 more minute left. then we'll be closing it. All right, so here it comes. So this is the final score. Also, people subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you will be getting regular updates, or you'll get notified whenever there is any developer event coming. You can search on YouTube as Azure Developer Community. All right. So these are the top 10 winners: Anirban Saha, Sudhir, Babu B, Bhupendra, Suba, Partha, Arnab, Girish, Vinith, Ambarish. So congratulations to all. We'll be sending the Azure certification vouchers by Monday or Tuesday. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, for joining us today, for attending the meetup by Vivek. We have similar meetups coming, and we have planned for March, April as well. So you can just visit to our official website, Azure Developer Community. The link is azdev.confo.com. You can join in upcoming events. So today we had Vivek Sridhar. On March 20th, we have session on getting started with Elastic on Azure by Arvind from Elastic. On March 28th, we have session by Ashirwad on getting started with .NET SDKs of Azure. So in case you haven't joined the communities, we would request you to join so that you can attend these upcoming events. So with this, I would like to thank all of you for joining us today, and hope to see you all in our upcoming meetups as well. And we hope you will be participating in other developer events like Azure Developer Challenge, Azure Developer Stories as well. Thank you all. See you.